You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, we have the legend, Mr. Lester Cox, from Phoenix, Arizona, actually just outside of Phoenix. But Lester, welcome to the Craig Proctor Show.
Hey, thanks, Craig. Great to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a couple months.
You know what? I got to say, we have had a blast doing this, haven't we, Lester? All the conferences, running around all over Canada, the United States, doing half-day seminars, all the people we've met, all the hard work we did, and then I guess all the hard play after the day of hard work. I mean, so many memories, so many great times. I mean, we're so fortunate to be in this business because we both had illustrious real estate careers, made millions and millions of dollars. Now we get to coach and mentor other real estate agents and see them become really successful, which I know you love. I know you love watching the growth, and it's not just how the real estate agent's business changes, it's actually how the real estate agent themselves changes. Like, we see these people and they all of a sudden they've got tremendous confidence and they're able to, take care of their family and travel around the world and do great things. So I know that's why you're still doing it today. Maybe you want to talk about, we'll start off with, how did you find Craig Proctor? What were you doing before that? And we'll just have a chat about, we'll pick some memories maybe from the last 30 years.
Well, let's see, about 23 years ago right now, maybe a little bit over that, I ran into a success website. And somebody that I knew had traveled to San Diego, and they found this site, and it was one of your coaching members. And I found you through going through ConsulNet to find who was behind this website.
I see. I never knew that in all these years. Okay. So everyone, Success Website is a website company in Toronto, Canada, and they licensed my intellectual property. They licensed these landing pages, and I think, Lester, at one time we had 5,000 or 6,000 agents that were using that website. So that's how you started with me. You found out about the website.
I found that, and then I contacted. See, it was probably May of that year, so I'm a few months past 23 years, and I contacted your office. I bought your super conference in May had just ended, so I couldn't make it to Toronto for that one. And this is in 2001, so it's about 23 years ago. And then. So
that was back when we were only exclusively doing the super conferences in Toronto.
That's it. Yeah. Only Toronto. You've never had one anywhere else. So I couldn't go to the one in May. I missed that one. So I bought the entire program in a box. You sold the whole
quantum
program
leap system. Yep.
Okay. Fortunately, I never took the shrink wrap off that. Okay, because had I done that, I would have tried to do this on my own. I would have failed miserably without a coach. And I would have said, no, this stuff just doesn't work. And I'd have gone on to the next guru. Okay. So, but I signed up for the program, or for the coaching super conference in November of 2001. So this is just after 9/11.
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't travel. I think the conference was a little bit underattended because people were afraid to travel. People were afraid to fly. But I flew back there with my wife, Pat, and we sat in the super conference for, well, it lasted 2.5 days, but I was ready to sign up for coaching in about 3 hours. So I remember you saying that they could only take 100 people into the coaching class for that time, because there was only a couple coaches. So
that's right. That was true. Yeah.
And so they could only take 100. And I was like a Olympian pole vaulter into the pit, making sure my form got in. So
you're the first one in line.
So then I came back to Phoenix, and I decided, well, hell, I'm just going to be a mini Craig Proctor, and I'm going to do everything he said. and this is one of my funnier stories. So I immediately came back because one of the things you talked about was your home sold guaranteed in 120 days, or I'll buy it for cash. Well, I came back, made 10,000 postcards, sent them all out, spent about 5 grand, did not get a call. And so I spent about 2 weeks bad mouthing Craig Proctor. I thought, oh man, I've been scammed. I didn't get a call.
Not one call.
Not one call. This thing doesn't work, doesn't work. And after about 2 weeks of blaming you and everybody else other than me, I decided, maybe I ought to take a look at this reality program that you included and check my market stats. And I discovered I had just promised 10,000 people that if they list their home with me, I'd take twice as long to sell it as what the market was. Right. So I failed I copied really well, but I copied everything. I might as well put your phone number on it.
Yeah, we've had that happen in the past too.
Yeah,
we say, hey, copy my stuff, and they'll have my phone number at Remax on their Keller Williams piece.
Anyhow, at the time, the market in Phoenix was about every 60 days your home would sell. So I made the adjustment to 39 days, and all of a sudden things started happening. So it was a fun ride. I mean, we've had so much fun over the last 23 years. It's just ridiculous. Nobody should have this much fun and making this much money selling real estate. So
yeah, I mean that's the cool part about this. We've had so much fun over the years, and making a lot of money as well. What were some of the peak years for your real estate team as far as number of homes sold?
Craig?
Yep. Yeah, you're frozen. But hopefully you can still see me.
Wait just a second. I'm gonna change my internet. Hold on.
Yep. If you're on wireless, maybe change that. But yeah, we've had some pretty good parties after these events. We've had some amazing days, and we were a little younger back then, so we could work hard and go out all night. I don't know if I could do that anymore, but yeah, great time. We got to see so much of the country, traveling all over the U.S. and Canada. But yeah,
I lost you for just a couple of seconds, Craig. Sorry about that, but back now. I got a better connection.
Okay. Now, look, let me ask you, your real estate team, during the peak years, how many homes were you selling? What was your max transactions during the heyday?
Over 500.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, when I met you, I was doing about 40 transactions a year. I was working 10 hours a day, about 7 days a week, making good money. I made about 500,000 a year, but no time to spend it, no time to enjoy it. And I was spending a lot of money on marketing. I had no idea what was working, what wasn't working. So my net wasn't that great, but I had a good number to churn. But I'll tell everybody, I've been doing this 30 years when I met Craig. So I was 30 years into business. I've got everybody's books, tapes, and all the guru stuff. I had my closet of good intentions, all that stuff on a shelf. And I don't know what it was. I think it was the fact that Craig in 30 years was the first guy who actually was doing what he was telling the people in the audience to do. He was actually living it. Nobody else had done that. Everybody else was working on theory. Everybody else was talking about, well, this should work and that should, but they'd never really done it. And Craig,
I was able to say, here's what I did today.
Yeah, Craig was actually.
Here's what I did last week. Yep.
So 6 months into the program, I got to visit Craig's office, and I met everybody on his team. It was I can remember it. I mean, it was cubicled and everything else, and I talked to everybody on his team. I took copious notes, and I came back and I just built a duplicated model of what Craig was doing. And that's all I did. Craig's been in my office, and I remember he went through my office and he said, this looks a lot like mine. So I said, well, it does. It's what it does. And the results came. So at first year, 40 transactions. After Craig, 1 year, I went to 100. Then I went to 200. Then I went to 300. And all the time, the amount of time I'm spending in my business was coming down. And I'm almost ashamed, when I was doing 500 transactions a year. I mean, I remember you saying this on stage. I absolutely remember you saying you're working 14 hours a week in your real estate business and you're doing 500 transactions. And I'm going, that's not possible. Well, it is, because I was down to about 15 hours a week. I actually bought a golf membership so that I could legitimately look my people in the eye and tell them I was out looking at real estate. That's why I was not in the office.
Well, they have nice houses on the golf course, but
So,
yeah, I mean, it's everybody believes in the beginning that to make more money in real estate, sell more houses, you've got to trade more of your time for money and more of your time for money. It's completely the opposite. The most money I ever made in real estate was about 500 or 600 homes a year, and I'd never worked less, right? So because I had a team and I understood leverage, and I want everyone to know, just because you have a team, it doesn't mean you're not making money. It means you're making more money. I think the most I ever did in production, Lester, as a solo agent, my second year in business, I had an administrative person, but I did 155 transactions by myself as a solo agent with one administrative person, and I never worked harder. When I was selling 500 or 600 homes a year, if ever, people would say, well, that's, you had a team and it's not as profitable. Well, think about this. If you're doing 600 with a team, and even if I give half the money to the team, okay, so half of 600 is 300. I can't do 300 transactions by myself. So, what would people rather do? 155 transactions as a solo agent working, ridiculous hours, 7 days a week. That's not sustainable. Or getting half of 600 transactions because I'm giving half to the team. Half of 300 or half of 600 is 300. That's a lot better than 155. And that explains our longevity, really, Lester, is why we are able to be profitable and do this for decades and decades and decades, is because it didn't rely on us, and it was duplicatable.
well,
Working 12 hours a day is not.
you always hear the agents saying, well, I'm in the real estate business. No, you're not. You have a real estate job.
Yep.
Because and I had a job. I never knew I had a job. I thought I had a business. I didn't have a business. I had a job. If I left and went anywhere, my business stopped. And I then went to having a real estate business because I didn't have to be there. Didn't rely on me. I got up to what I think I call level 6. So the only things I did at when I was doing 500, I did the training, I did the recruiting, and I did the marketing.
Yep. The
I
key, the three big rainmaker activities.
I probably could have found somebody to do the marketing, but I enjoyed it. I was
Right.
good at it. I learned from Craig how to do it. The response, I'll tell you the biggest change in my life, Craig, the biggest change, probably the number one thing, and I tell the coaching members this all the time. When that very first super conference, I looked up on the wall and there was this big banner that said, if you can't change the outcome, delegate it. I had been an agent that my thumbprint was on everything that happened in my office, everything. There wasn't one thing happened that didn't have my involvement in it. And that was tough to let go of. But the first thing I did when I came back from that super conference was hire an assistant. And I started delegating the things that I didn't need to be doing that I couldn't change the outcome on. And I started doing the big rock items. I was making the calls, I was generating the leads, I was doing the appointments and listing properties and selling homes. That's it. I didn't I didn't any longer ever go out and take photographs. I didn't put a lockbox on. I didn't put a sign. None of that. I didn't put none of my agents, in fact, none of my agents on my team knew how to put a listing in MLS. I did not want them to put listings in
Right.
MLS. You guys can make 25 calls in the 2 hours it takes to put a listing in MLS. Way more profitable. So,
Now, the association with the other Craig Proctor members, let's talk about that, because it wasn't just Craig Proctor. It's all that. I mean, and you're a social guy. You're a high I personality. You probably, if I stick you in a room with 300 people, in a couple of days, you'll talk to most of them.
yeah.
Right? Everybody knows Lester, and and that's why you like this business, right? You talk about the great people that you've met inside the Craig Proctor organization, and so everyone knows Lester is a coach. He has been a coach for Craig Proctor for a number of years. Lester, you've ran high income coaching groups like the Diamond Group, where everybody in that group was making millions of dollars a year. So how important has the association with these other top realtors been?
Well, number one, you learn so much about what's actually working, what's not
Mm.
working, keeps you from making mistakes. But number two, uh, I think I told you one time it cost me 250,000 a year just to quit Craig Proctor because I was making so much money from referrals from other members
Right.
that had people that they knew that were moving to or moving out of Phoenix, and I would get those referrals. And I was at the point where I would think at the peak we were probably doing 30, 40 referrals a year just from Craig Proctor members, just from people that I had met through the program. So
Okay, talk when you were leading the Diamond Group, talk about the type of realtors that were inside the Craig Proctor Diamond Group that you were leading, and what types of things were going on inside that group.
that was a true mastermind. And basically, in a true, the word mastermind gets tossed around like crazy, and it's really very few of them are actual masterminds. I mean,
Hmm.
when you charged me with being part of the head of the Diamond Mastermind group, I actually took a coaching class on how to properly do a mastermind, and I still have the booklet, that taught me how to do it. And a true mastermind is where everybody's involved. Really, it doesn't center around me so much as it does the members themselves. I would get up and tell you my problem in my business, and we got 25 members there who probably 3 or 4 of them had the same issues and figured out how to solve it. And bingo, I mean, in 2.5, 3 days, you walk out of there and you've got solutions that are firsthand of people that
Yeah.
have actually done this.
Yep. You see people grabbing their pen. Oh, there's a writer downer right there. There's another writer
Oh,
downer.
oh yeah.
Uh,
People would leave our meetings after 2.5 days, and they would have almost a notebook full of notes. I mean, just incredible.
and what was like? What do you think the average production was in that group?
Well, we probably had a few people that were making less than $1 million a year, but they strived to do more, and
Right.
everybody increased their income every year. But we had people doing $4 and $5 million a year in that group too. So
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the rule changes that are happening this week, and in some states have already happened. Les, you've been in the industry for 30 years. We've seen some changes for
oh no,
sure.
no, Craig, I've been in the industry for 53 years.
53 years, 53 years. Okay, that's right, 53 years. So you've been with me 23,
No,
but you've been
23, 23.
23. Okay, but you got your real estate license 53 years ago.
Correct.
So nobody really better to talk to. I don't know how many people we're going to find that have had a license for over 53 years. You've seen a lot. You've seen a
Oh
lot of stuff in 53
yeah.
years. But what about what's going to happen this week with the buyer agent commission box being removed from MLS and buyer agents, forced to negotiate their own fee, which, by the way, we've been teaching agents to do this for over 10 years.
It was like all this stuff came out. First of all, I can't believe they lost the lawsuit. But second of all, it had no effect on mentally, zero effect on me. We've been getting a buyer broker agreement for 23 years. Since I met you, I refused to work with any buyer who didn't sign my agreement. And then we got real good at this, and we refused to work with buyers who didn't pay us a retainer fee and sign our agreement. So we actually had people that would stroke us a check for $500 just for the privilege of having us be their buyer's agent. And nobody was shown property by our agents, by me or my agents without a buyer broker agreement up front. So we had our fee negotiated already. I've literally had buyers come to the closing table with 2% and a check to make up the difference between what was being offered by the co-broke and what they had agreed that we were worth.
If you're watching this and you have any questions, by the way, of course, you're watching this, you wouldn't be watching this. Please type in your comments below. We will get back, either Lester or myself will get back to any questions that you might have. But yeah, for over 10 years, Craig Proctor members have been negotiating their fees directly with the buyer. So what we created were rules of engagement. And the rules of engagement at Lester's office and all Craig Proctor members that were following our lead is we generate a lot of leads where 100% of the buyers are coming to us. There's no cold calling. There's no door knocking. Everyone's coming to us. We want too many leads. And the reason we want too many leads coming at us is because we want the luxury of choice. Some of the buyers are going to be better than other buyers. And we only want to work with the very best buyers. By best buyer, I mean most motivated, they're ready to act, people that are going to do things our way and not fight us. So what is our way? These rules of engagement, Lester's touched on it. The buyer has to, first of all, meet with us. That meeting could be at Lester's office. That meeting could be at a Starbucks, could be at their house. But the first thing that happens before we take a buyer and run around and show them houses. Now, remember, it has to be that way now before with the new rules, before you go show them houses, you got to have the buyer contract signed, and your commission has to be conspicuously, noticeably there, how you get paid. But we were doing this 10 years ago. Nobody else was doing this, let alone being forced to do it. Nobody else was doing what we were doing. And so, Lester raised the bar. He says, well, not only do the buyers need to meet with us, they need to sign a 6-month buyer agency agreement. And if you want to work with us, you're going to pay an upfront $500 retainer fee that's non-refundable, because a lot of buyers, of course, don't buy a house. And we need to get compensated for the paperwork and all the time that we invest in showing houses to buyers that don't buy. So we wrote a book on that in 2015. You can find it on Amazon. It's called The Death of the Traditional Real Estate Agent. And the reason we were negotiating our fee with buyers 10 years ago, Les, is not necessarily because we thought the buyer commission would go away, but it was, should I say, fading? It was, the buyer commission was going down and down and down, right? So when we list a house, if you don't like what the seller is willing to pay you, you could walk out of that listing and choose not to work with the seller. But when you work with the seller, you have the opportunity to negotiate your fee. Well, real estate agents did not have that opportunity to negotiate their fee if you're just accepting whatever is being offered on MLS. So we noticed that MLS fee that was being paid by the seller or buyer, which was really the center of this lawsuit, is why is the seller being forced to do this. We saw that commission on MLS in the commission box go down, 3.5%, 3%, 2.75, 2.5. So we didn't like that. Okay, 10 years ago, we didn't like the fact that if Lester's out showing a buyer and the buyer says, hey, Les, I want to buy this house. Well, Lester was like, well, I don't know, like I guess I have to accept whatever is being offered by the listing agent and the seller. So our thinking was, how can we control our business if we don't know what we're getting paid when we work with a buyer? Now, Les, you had a big team of buyer agents, right? So they're all out there showing houses, and Lester's trying to calculate his profitability and his business. Well, on those buyer ends, we never really knew what we were going to get paid. We are at the mercy of whatever was being offered by the listing agent or the seller. So 10 years ago, we said, the hell with that. We're not going to do that. That's not how we work with the seller. We get to negotiate our fee, whether it be 6, 7, 8%, whatever it is. So we're going to negotiate our fee with buyers. Now, this is what the whole world is. By the time you're watching this, okay, and some of you are watching it live right now, but this is happening in real time now, okay? The NAR compromise, they lost. Lester just said a minute ago, they had no business losing this. Yep, they messed it up. They lost. And they were going to have to pay, I don't know what it was, $500 million. Well, guess what? NAR doesn't have $500 million. So they're forced now to make compromises to settle out of court, or NAR is going to go bankrupt. So here was the settlement. The settlement is today in the United States, before you show a house, you got to get a buyer contract signed. And the buyer contract has to specify conspicuously, that's the word they use. And by the way, Lester, notice they don't want us using the word commission anymore.
It became a bad word.
Oh, that's a bad word. So they want us to use compensation. Alan Dalton, who I'm interviewing next week, Alan's really good with words, right? He says, really, we should call it a contingency fee, because no real estate agent makes anything unless this thing closes, right? So It shouldn't, he goes, don't use the word commission. And it's not even compensation, because when we work with a buyer, nobody's compensated until the buyer actually buys and we close the deal. So he likes to use the word contingency fee. But regardless, your compensation, before you show them one house, this buyer agreement needs to be signed that says you're going to get paid 3% or 4% or whatever you negotiate. Now, the only exception to this are open houses. There's actually 2 exceptions. One is open houses. So I think open houses, Lester, will be a lot more popular, because a lot of buyers will think, well, I don't want to get tied into signing anything. If I go to open houses, They're not going to make me sign it, which is true. The other occasion where a buyer can view a property without signing this buyer agency agreement is if they call the listing agent. So they call Lester off his sign, and Lester says, yeah, come on over. That's because Lester's representing the seller. He's not representing the buyer at that point. So the question is how many buyers, when confronted with, hey, to go look at a house, you got to sign a buyer agency agreement that spells out what I'm going to get paid. How many of them are going to be willing to do that? Now, I already see there's consumer groups coming out now, Lester. I don't know if you saw this in the news recently, but I think it's like called the Consumers Federation of America or something.
I
They're
saw it.
saying, yeah, they're saying, well, we recommend that buyers that buyers, if you're going to sign something, well, they're saying don't sign it. Well, you have to sign it. If you sign something, make sure that the agent isn't getting paid, or make sure you sign an agreement that's like just to see that house, or it's for 3 or 4 days, or it's for a week.
And they're also recommending a commission of less than 2%.
Less than 2%. So look, a lot of agents are going to fade out of the business here. Here's the crazy part. So we look at the stats for last year, for 2023. Don't you guys think it's amazing that 49% of the real estate agents in the United States of America did one transaction or 0 transactions in a world where the agent could say to the buyer, I do these things for you and my services are free? So 49% of the agents couldn't make a living when they could say to the buyer, I do this and this and this, and all my services are free. They literally couldn't even sell free. So good luck to those 49% of those same agents when they have to sell, oh, by the way, I do this and this and this. I do these same things, and my fee is 4%. Or my fee is 3%. So prediction, we're going to lose a lot of agents, but that will be good for, who are we going to lose? You think we're going to lose the top agents? No, we're not going to lose the top agents, because the top agents have always been good at value stacking, right? Being able to articulate their services. So Les, when you go out and you meet with a seller, it's like you're putting block, we do this and we do this, and you're value stacking, and that's how you're able to negotiate a higher fee. So that's what we've been teaching buyers is, well, you know what we always say, Lester, price is only a factor in the absence of value.
Well, you've taught for years, everybody in the world is listening to the radio station WIFM, what's in it for me? And every buyer is thinking that as well. But for 23 years, it's been 23 years, we've been using buyer broker agreement, and we've been using your buyer presentation to demonstrate the value of having us and only us representing them as a buyer. And here's why you should pay a fee. And if you don't have a benefits presentation, I mean, why would I sign anything with you? What's in it for me? Everybody has that. And I know that's true, because everything we do, we do it for what's in it for me. And the buyer, why would I sign with you above all other choices, including doing nothing at all? Why would I do that? You've got to have.
And that's always been the question the buyer has had. And it's been easy for an agent to say, okay, well, I do these certain things, but don't worry about it. You don't have to pay me anything. So,
Yeah.
how good does my presentation have to be to convince a buyer to pay me nothing, right? Okay, now, so we're 10 years ahead of the game. We've been doing this for 10 years, negotiating directly with the buyer to pay us 3 or 4%. So understand, there was always a little blank on the buyer contract that enabled every agent in the United States and Canada to fill in their commission. But a lot of us wimped out and we're like, oh no, well, I know we could specify our commission, but next to that little box, it says, or you, the agent, can accept whatever is being offered on MLS. That's what most agents did. Well, I'm just going to be at the mercy of whatever the listing agent decides to pay me. So 10 years ago, we started with value stacking. Okay, what do we need to say to the buyer to convince the buyer that it's to their benefit to pay us a set fee? Well, I'll tell you one thing that goes away is there's no more steering. Okay, one of the big things that buyers were accusing agents of is, well, I don't really want to sign a buyer agency agreement with a real estate agent, because that agent, they might try to just sell me whatever house pays them the most amount of money. They might try to steer me towards their listings or their company listings, or they might try to steer me away from for sale by owners or homes that didn't pay the agent as much money. That all goes away now. Okay, that the agent is negotiating their own fee. 10 years ago it was by choice. Today it's by law. Okay, so everyone's got to do it the Craig Proctor way. You got to negotiate your fee. Now, we're going to have all kinds of agents out there, I'm sure, saying their fee is 0 or their fee is 1%, but it needs to be specified. And we're going to see agents struggle without this. I've never been busier. I've never been busier with real estate agents and team leaders and brokerages coming to me, and I'm doing training for their entire offices. Like I'm doing these Zooms. They've got all their agents there. It's like, how do we do this? How do we survive? It amazes me, Lester, that a lot of the broker owners or even franchise leaders have little clue about how to make this transition.
Yeah, one of the things that's always bothered me about this commission thing, where when I started with you and started negotiating my own fee with the buyers, and I'm always getting my fee and not what the seller is offering, it always bothered me that, some guy lists a house and he and the seller decide that we're all worth 2.5%. We're all in the same bucket. We're all worth 2.5 or 3% or whatever he decides. And I'm thinking, the guy who got his real estate license this morning at 9 o'clock, who's done 0 transactions, is being offered the exact same commission
Yep.
as I'm being offered with 53 years experience and 6,800 transactions under my belt.
Exactly.
And he's getting the same money I'm getting. That's crazy. I'm worth more money. And it's just like I've got one of my lawyers I pay $200 an hour. He's good for contract stuff and everything else. And I've got another lawyer I pay $700 an hour, and that's if I get involved in litigation or whatever. And he's killer on that. They both got the same license from the state of Arizona, but they both charge a totally different fee, and they both have different skill sets. Our skill sets are so good compared to what the average agent is out there. We're worth more money. We will be more benefit to the buyer and the seller than.
But the reason you say that and you believe that is because you are in fact a top agent. Okay, so top agents are not afraid of this, right? Top agents are, first of all, they're saying, well, this makes total sense. Now, as a top realtor, I have the ability to negotiate. Well, they've always had the ability, but I'm forced now to up my game with my buyer presentation, with value stacking, all these benefits. So number one, the buyer wants to work with you and no other agent. And number two, they're willing to pay you more money. That's what everyone watching this needs to focus on is, first of all, why the hell should anyone choose to do business with me versus the other gazillions of agents? And number two, why am I worth more, right? You can't make them pick you and you can't make them pay you more, but using the right benefits, the right words that come out of your mouth, you can compel them to want to work with you and you can compel them to pay you more money. That's the way it works in the world. I want the top architect in town. I'm going to pay more money. I want the top lawyer in town. It's going to cost more money. So at least now everyone is forced. Okay, we tried really hard for 10 years to get all of our agents to negotiate their own fee. Please do not accept what's offered at MLS. You guys are so much better than the average realtor. You're really cheating yourself by not having an awesome presentation that value stacks all your value, and you go out there and you negotiate 3% or 4% or more. You get to decide rather than having someone else decide what you're going to make. Now, at the same time back then, Les, if you remember, we were listing houses and 5, 6, 7%, and we were offering 0 to the buyer agent. And of course, buyer agents were freaking out. Oh my God, how can you do that? Well, as it turns out, legally, we were absolutely right. Right? Because we were not forcing the seller to pay any commission to the buyer broker. So we were right the whole time. And the other thing I want to mention is at the closing table, that's when the agent on the other side would see how much more money we were making. And some of the agents would get upset, right? They'd be like, oh my God, like I made $10,000 on this, unless you made 25. And you're like, how do you do it? And you would say, well, this is a recruiting opportunity here. You want to learn how
Yes,
to do it? You
absolutely.
come and work with Lester Cox. So yeah, exciting times. And let's switch now to technology. You've always been attracted to technology. You like technology. A lot of agents that have been doing this for 50 years, 50 plus years, shy away from it, right? They're like, well, I don't want to change or I don't want to be up. I got to credit you. You're always interested and updated on the latest technology. And you tried a lot of things. You talked to a lot of people. Have you always been that way?
Uh, I'm a gadget hound. I like anything gadgetry. Yesterday, Craig, I just bought yesterday my Apple Vision Pro goggles. Unbelievable. I mean, my desktop is right there, and I click my finger and I go to an app and I can read my emails, do messages. It's just incredible. I was in Africa, I was on a balloon ride, I was at a rhinoceros farm. It is the most incredible piece of technology I've ever seen in my life. But that said, you early on, I learned from you at the very first super conference. If you want to make more money, you've got to leverage yourself with people and technology. That's just bottom line. You got to leverage yourself with people and technology. And today, uh, I don't know where AI is going to go, but right now I'm using it like crazy because it's so much fun to. Oh gosh, I was playing around with it the other day, and I said, write me a 4-page newsletter with content on how to make people happy by making them healthier and wealthier. And this thing spits out 4 pages of newsletter that I can put together. And you can then format that. I use a virtual assistant over in the Philippines, and she can format that into a newsletter content or drop it into the templated newsletter stuff that I show my agents how to do. But the technology is phenomenal. I will tell you,
I love, by the way, when you're coaching someone 30 years old and you're more technically inclined, like you've had your real estate license twice as long as they've been alive, and
yeah.
you're more engaged in technology now. If
I'll,
we
I'll
go,
tell you, I'll tell you one thing, Craig,
yeah,
really interesting. You may not know this yet, but one of your students, Zulika, she's in South Africa,
yep,
and I'm coaching her, and it is so much fun. They've never heard of buyer agency, never heard of it. There's nobody in South Africa who does buyer agency.
yeah.
They don't have MLS. So everybody goes to one website to look for properties. So all the buyers are going to the seller because the seller has their property on this one website, no MLS. Well, I'm teaching Zulika to do she literally had to change companies because her broker fought her so hard on it. And so she literally went on her own and doing her own business and recruiting agents and showing them how to do buyer agency where they tie a buyer up. Now, if you're going to buy your home, you're buying it with us and nobody else, and I'm going to get paid. So and a lot of that's using technology that they did not have in South Africa, but we're using it effectively over there. So it can be applied any one of the best tools that I ever got for you was reality, and you've been using reality from
Yeah,
day
which
one.
we still use today.
Still use it today.
Okay, let's go back in time. This will be fun. Go back in time and talk about some of the technology that you've used over the years, and some of them you invested in and you made a lot of money.
Yeah, the number one thing that I started off with lead generation with. Before I met Craig, I never knew where my business was coming from. I absolutely had no idea why the door was opening, why the phone was ringing. And the first thing that I learned from Craig was tracking. And I used 800 numbers with different ID codes. I used different URLs. Nothing appeared in the same. A URL was used in one place only. And if somebody came into my website from that URL, I knew exactly which ad they were coming off of.
So
So I was
tracking,
able
you had no tracking before. Now you had 100% tracking. You knew where.
100% tracking. And what I found out was this is why my business jumped so quickly. I found out what was working and what wasn't working, and
Mm.
I quit spending money on stuff that wasn't working and took that money and started spending more money on the things that were working and doubled my business first year. Uh, and my profitability went up because I wasn't wasting dollars anymore. Every dollar I was spending, I could tell you precisely how many leads I was going to get from a particular source and what the cost per lead was and what the conversion was. I mean, I knew all those numbers. I never had any clue before I met Craig about tracking and keeping track of all those numbers, but it's paid off in spades. So that was number one. And I had over 400 different URLs for Success website to drive traffic. I had all the different 800 number ID codes. And so I was able to track everything. That's using the technology. That's the first technology I started using. And then
And well, okay, Commission Inc. You met with
commissions,
Dwayne, and this was before Commission Inc. existed.
yeah, Commissions Inc. Was something that I actually was I was like the 10th user of a company called Realty Generator. And I remember showing that to you, and you said, why would you have that? Nobody will want to meet with you. Nobody will talk to you. And I had to make some adjustments to get people to change. But that was the original granddaddy of
Mm.
all the different websites like Boomtown and Commissions Inc. and all those guys. That was the granddaddy. And I was out to dinner with those guys in Denver one time, came back a little frustrated, and Dwayne Legate was sitting in the bar, and I said,
What year would that be?
2006, I think.
All right, so 2006, you're having dinner with a bunch of our guys, and Dwayne was there at that point.
Dwayne was in the bar when I came back
Right,
from meeting with the guys at
right,
the website that I was with,
right.
and then I was kind of frustrated. I said, "Dude, we need to really build a website that does it all. That's all inclusive. That you can run your
Mm.
business out of. That does the lead generations, your CRM, the whole thing." And we kind of talked about it for another year or so, and then the market went into the tank, and we just didn't do anything with it. And we kind of revived the idea in 2010. Bunch of agents flew to Atlanta. We storybooked what we thought Commissions Inc. should look like. And Commissions Inc. was basically built by realtors to serve realtors, to help realtors. And we launched the first site. We did storybooking in December of 2010, started writing code in January 2011, launched the first site, I think, in May. I have number two site. I have the second site that they ever launched, and it's still going. Now, Commissions Inc. sold a couple times, and it's now owned by a big financial company, and it's not as good as I'm the feedback I'm getting is it's not as great as it used to be, but that may not be Commissions Inc. That could be agents. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing when you pick up the phone and call people and get them on the phone or how to follow up, yeah, you're going to fail. So, uh, but that's a piece of technology. I made a lot of money from that, and oh gosh, I I'm not scared of anything. I mean, a lot of people my age were always afraid of a computer, and I just figured I'll press the keys, and if the damn thing blows up, I'll buy another one.
Yeah,
So
well, I would say you're not afraid of change. You're
no,
pretty open-minded.
I'm totally not afraid of
Right,
change. I'm
right,
totally. In fact, you taught the DISC personality so many different
right,
times. The number one fear of a high S personality is fear of
right,
change.
right.
I have zero
You
S.
have zero S. You got none of that. Hey, Les, over all these years you've been a Craig Proctor coach, how many agents do you think you've coached over all those years? How many Craig
I mean,
Proctor
it's in
agents
the
have
thousands.
in
It's
the
in the thousands.
thousands?
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, so Craig Proctor coach for all these years. You've coached thousands of one-on-one coached thousands of Craig Proctor agents. Let's and we haven't rehearsed this, so I have no idea what you're going to say. What would you say? We'll do it both ways. What are the things that you've noticed about the agents that really succeed and the opposite? What are kind
Uh,
of the mistakes or the you know the secrets to not being successful?
the biggest fallacy I see is people got into real estate a lot of times with the wrong expectations. They saw the big commission check that their agent got when they bought a home or whatever. And they thought this is so easy. I'm just going to get in, and they don't get into the business with the expectation it's really hard work and it takes a
Mm,
lot of work. Now it it doesn't have to take a lot of work if you learn how
mm,
to build a business instead of having a job. But most agents, uh, the agents that I've coached who have gone on to make millions of dollars, which is life changing for them, and it gives me the biggest thrill I could have. I mean, I've literally changed people's lives forever, their families' lives, everybody else. Uh, the biggest thing is that they drink the Kool Aid, and I tell people guys, I've done this over and over and over again. Here's the Kool-Aid. Don't change the formula. Drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to poison you. I promise you this is going to work. If you'll give me 100%, I promise you we'll change your life. And I've never had anybody fail who absolutely gave it all, who put it in. You know, it's like with me. I don't know why it is, Craig, but after 30 years and after seeing you, for some reason, I just had this this overwhelming feeling that this was for real, and I was going to pour everything I had into doing this. And when I first started, I mean, I'm working 70, 80 hours a week, and I'm thinking, shit, now I'm working 90 hours a week because I'm implementing Craig Proctor. It's like drinking from a fire hose, and I'm working on all this stuff, and so my hours went up, not down, and I'm going, man. But pretty soon, as I started putting pieces together and everything else, the hours started plummeting and going way down. The biggest thing is people just have to have that commitment, and they have to just jump in and give it their all. And the people who do that succeed. The people who don't do that, who come in with doubts, who want to fight their coach, who want to fight the system, I don't know why you want to fight this. Nothing we're doing is immoral, illegal, or underhanded. It's all straight up on the table. I mean, I've done 6,800 transactions. I've never had an E&O complaint. I've never had a lawsuit. I've never had a board complaint. And if I had a complaint at my real estate broker's office, we fixed it instantly. So we run a very, very clean business, cut and dry. We tremendous referral business. I remember 2004, I called you up and I said, Craig, I said, I don't, we did like 40% of our business by referral last year. And I said, you know, if you had given me the assignment on how I could ignore my customers more, I couldn't have improved on what I did. I mean, you bought your home, you closed, and you're dead to me. Well, we changed all that. And you said that's a testimony as to how well you did the business to begin with, that 40% would remember you,
Right.
even though you didn't stay in touch with them. Well, we started staying in touch. We boosted that up to 68, 70% by referral. That's like free money almost. And then the referral business I got from Craig Proctor Agents. And then the perfect blend, in my opinion, on a real estate business is about 60% by referral and 40% new business. And that 40% new business transfers back over the next year into more referral business. And it just keeps growing. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you can't stop it. You just can't stop it.
So when you're coaching a new Craig Proctor member, how many like weeks into it do you know, okay, here's somebody that's going to embrace change and they're going to implement and they've got the right attitude versus here's somebody that's probably always looking for why something won't work,
Yeah,
which
but
which is crazy. Why would you pay all this money and then you know, and a lot of agents you coach believe, well, my market's different, my situation's different, we're not allowed to do this. You know, they want to change, but they put up roadblocks and don't want to really actually change at all.
yeah, too many people spend too much time questioning everything that we're doing and why we're doing that, and you know, and that just wastes time. But to answer your question, I probably know within 2 calls whether they're going to really dive into this, and a lot of it's on how much effort they make in those first 2 or 3 weeks,
Mhm.
how much they're committed to it, and pretty well know two or three calls. I pretty well got an idea. This is going to be a superstar. This is going to be somebody that I'm going to lug and beg and plead. You know, you've said this many times. I mean, I probably want them to be more successful than they want
Yeah.
themselves. You
Yeah,
know,
we've said that many times, Les. It's sometimes we feel like we want you know, success for them more than they do.
I
In
know
fact,
it's like
well,
please,
well,
please, please let me help you make money.
when the pandemic started to help agents, and this is still true today, we offer agents a guarantee in writing that if they work with us for 120 days and they come on the training, we guarantee in writing that they're going to make an additional $20,000, which is far more than what they pay us. They're going to make an additional $20,000 closed or not closed, written, might not be closed on 120 days, but that if you work with us for 4 months, we're going to guarantee in writing that you're going to write an additional $20,000. Some of it may be closed in the 120 days, some of it may not be, but you're going to write an extra $20,000 in commission income, or we'll give you all your money back.
Yeah,
And I think that is, and still we'll have agents that are skeptical. It's like, okay, so if we pay you more than you pay us, in 120 days, that wouldn't be good enough, right? So we are trying to really make it easy for the agents that want to succeed to follow these steps with a written guarantee that if this doesn't work, we'll just give you all your money back. And the reason we can make such a guarantee, which I don't believe anybody else makes in coaching, is because our stuff works, right? Now, there's a condition on this guarantee. You got to show up for the training. Okay. This isn't like, you can buy the gym membership and never show up at the gym and expect somehow to lose weight. Nope. We have experience coaching here. Okay. Les, 53 years as a licensed agent. He's been coaching. He's been with me for 23 years. Okay. These are the types of coaches we have. He's made millions of dollars. He's coached thousands of Craig Proctor members. He's networked with tens of thousands of agents that have been in the Craig Proctor system over the 23 years that Lester has been with me. He's been he's led a high-end coaching group, our Diamond Group, and worked exclusively with agents making millions of dollars a year. He has been involved in founding tech companies like Commission Inc. and paid handsomely, by the way. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about that, but not only was less part of like the board of directors or whatever they called it, but he invested some money, and I know he was, and a lot of our members were paid handsomely for that initial investment. If you guys are interested in having a conversation with Les or I, we're going to throw out our contact information. Les, you go first. What would be the best way for realtors who've enjoyed our interview today and they want to find out a little bit more about you, your business, and what we have going on here at Craig Proctor? How would one reach Lester Cox?
Okay, so email is coachlestercox@gmail.com. And but I'm an agent. I'm old school. See, I still use these things as a telephone. So my cell number is 602-694-4000, 602-694-4000. And I actually answer my phone. So now I do have filters on it. Believe it, if it doesn't recognize your number, you may have to go through some steps to get through to me. I had to do that because of all this political crap. I had to block some of this stuff out. But if you text me, you can text to me, you can email to me, or you can just pick up the phone and do the old-fashioned thing. We'll have a conversation. I'm more than willing to talk to people who need help in the business. That's probably the biggest. I've made a lot of money in this business. I've had a lot of fun in real estate, and thanks to Craig, I could be very nicely retired, but retirement kind of sucks. You got to have something to do, and I get the biggest rush now out of helping agents change their lives. Those who want to change it, we can change it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to get up every day, do something we love, and see all the positive impact and help people have better lives. It's very gratifying. Now, if you want to get a hold of me, you can email me, craig@craigproctor.com, or there's another option too. If you guys have enjoyed this and you'd like to jump on a quick Zoom meeting for a half an hour, you can book a breakthrough call at proctorcall.com. So my name, Proctor Call, no space, proctorcall.com. If you click on proctorcall.com, you're going to go to my acuity day timer. So you pick a day and a time that works for you. And we'll jump on and we'll ask you some questions about, what you're doing now, what you want to do. So, the conversation might go like this. Tell me about your production right now. Well, I'm doing 25 transactions a year. Okay. What's your goal? What would you like to do? I want to do 50. So just so you're prepared, my next question is going to be, well, why are you not already doing 50? And then you're going to go on about all the things that are, in the way of you doing 50 transactions, all the obstacles. And then what I'm going to do free of charge is I'm going to give you my advice on how you can go from wherever you are now to where you want to go. Now, based on what you hear, you're going to have one or two reactions. You're going to say, this makes total sense. I can see the value in having Craig Proctor and Lester. I can see the value of having these guys coaching me. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you say, well, this is not for me. Didn't cost you a penny for the call here. you can, continue just to go on your merry way and keep doing what you're doing. But what if this is true? What if Lester and I and our team of coaches, what if it is true that we've created more millionaire agents than any other coach or trainer or guru? What if it's true that within my 3rd year of being a real estate agent, I became the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world, not in the country, in the whole world, only having my license for 3 years. And most importantly, I kept being one of the top agents in the world year after year after year. I sold over 10,000 homes. But what I'm very proud of is my dual track record. Not only are Lester and I 2 of the most successful real estate agents in the world, as far as transactions and I guess years in the business experience, but Lester and I have helped thousands and thousands of agents have the kind of success that we've had. There's nothing that you want to do that Lester and I haven't done. Okay, now we've made mistakes, and there's value in you knowing what those mistakes are going to be. Lester and I are happy to say, okay, here's all the things we did right, but if we were doing it all over again, here are some of the things that we would change. There is so much value in experience. And I want everyone to think about that, because today on social media, there are a gazillion of coaches. Pretty much anybody, Lester, that can rent a high-end car, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, and they can park that rented car in front of an expensive-looking house, can claim that they're an expert and they're a coach. Here's one thing that I don't get, though. I don't understand. Everyone, I would think, understands the benefit of coaching and having a mentor, but do some research, because who the coach is really, really matters. I am blown away how realtors are faked out and tricked by coaches that literally have no practical experience doing what they teach agents to do. Some of the big names out there, we're not going to name their names, but have never actually had a real estate license. They've never sold a house. They've never presented an offer. They haven't been out till midnight. They don't know the ups and downs. They've never been in the trenches. I promise you, when you come along here with your ride with Lester and I, we've seen it all. We've seen it all. We've been in the trenches with you. We don't have our own reality show. That's not why people come to us. People come to us because we have in the trenches real world experiences, working with average buyers and sellers, working with the problems that we as real estate agents deal with every single day. So I would recommend that if you've enjoyed this today, first of all, let us know in the comments. We weren't here to try to sell you anything. We're here to introduce you to myself and Lester, and perhaps a better alternative for you going forward in your real estate career. So let us know any questions you have or comments. Feel free to drop those in to the comments below. But you can reach out to Lester. I'll make sure that we type in Lester's contact information in the comments below, and mine, proctorcall.com, or you can email me at craig@craigproctor.com. And Faith, do we have a report of some sort to share today? I'm not sure if we have that on this one. Do we? Yes or no?
Yes, we do have.
We do. Okay, so we're going to share some information here. And if you want this information that we're about to share with you, all you have to do is drop your email address into the comments below. And Faith is sharing a free report that we prepared for everybody. Again, just some free information for everyone. This is called How to Stop Losing Business. The money is in the follow-up. Okay. And Lester, I know this is one of the things that you speak on with our coaching members is, generating the leads, whether you buy the leads or however you're getting the leads right now. A lot of the business is lost with improper follow-up. If we can go right to the top of that report, just to show the title of it. And so if you guys would like this, it's my gift to you. Stop losing business to other agents. The money is in the follow-up. Follow-up is such a huge part of it. What a wonderful world we'd live in if every buyer or seller you spoke to said, come and get me. I'm ready to buy now, or I'm ready to, but the opposite is true. Most of the buyers and sellers we speak to are not ready yet. they're 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years down the road. So in this report, we talk to you about how to do proper follow-up. So if you want that free report, okay, how to stop losing business because of lack of follow-up, how to put proper systems in your business, please drop in your email address in the comments below, and we'll get that to you. So we're going to wrap it up. Please let us know how you enjoyed this session here on the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. A special thanks to Lester Cox for being a great friend, a mentor to thousands of Craig Proctor coaching students over the years. Still going hard at it, 53 years with a real estate license. Always updated. Lester's always on the cutting edge of whatever's coming down the road. Gets up every day, enjoys what he's done. And Lester, so many stories, so many great times over the years. I wouldn't trade any of it. I really, during the conferences, God, with the stories we have going out after the conferences, so much fun with everybody. Really loved it.
We have traveled together coast to coast from I think the farthest we went was Montreal, and of course San Diego, and of course Florida, and I think we've been up and down California all over. So
yeah. Lester, I've never laughed. I've never laughed as hard with you. I mean, we've had we've just had great time here together over the years, and I want to keep it going. So,
hey, Craig, one last thought. One thing I tell every coaching member that I work with, you probably don't even know this. I tell everybody that I work with, I make them raise their hand. I literally make them raise their hand and promise on a Zoom call that I will not spend one dime on anything unless the coaching member and me talk about it and I say it's okay, because I have been scammed I'm a great consumer. I have been scammed by the very best. And I tell them, I'll save you the price of coaching just from not buying shit that I already know that doesn't work.
Exactly. Everyone seems to be coming at realtors, trying to sell you this, trying to sell you that. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed our interview today. Lester Cox, in Arizona, longtime Craig Proctor coach, and we got a long way ahead of us, a lot of runway ahead of us. Les, keep doing a great job. Appreciate all you've done, and I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of the Craig Proctor Show. Take care, and we'll see everybody again soon.
Thanks, Craig. See you.
Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.